Hey guys, welcome back to the R&J Fix channel. I'm R.
I'm Jay.
Today we're going to be making a repair that we actually didn't expect to have to make. We thought this was going to be a simple job. We were removing the license plate from this car. The first bolt came out, as you can see, without a problem. But with the car being 10 years old, apparently some rust entered into the equation on this bolt, and when we turned the screw to get it out, the screw head broke off, and we ended up with the body of the bolt actually embedded in the trunk material. Now, when I look at this, I'm saying to myself that this is the original screw, and I'm looking at how long it is, and I'm saying this must protrude into the trunk area. So the way that I'm going to try to get this out is actually from the back with those locking pliers that I'm going to show you in a moment. So to do this job, we need a pair of locking pliers. We need a regular blade screwdriver. We need a Phillips screwdriver. We need our replacement screws, and I'm buying two, and I'll tell you why in a moment, and some penetrating oil. So we're going to access that broken screw from the inside of the trunk lid. In order to gain access to the screw, we had to take this decorative cover off. Now, the decorative cover mounts pretty easily. There are 12 of these plastic push-pin style retainers. The way that these retainers work is they're two pieces. There's this piece, which is the plunger, and there's this piece, which is the base. The base has legs on it. The legs fit into the hole, and when the plunger is pressed, it spreads the legs apart, which causes the retainer to actually be locked in position. Now, there's 12 of them on this lid. I've already taken off 11 in order to expedite our discussion here, but I'll save one more for us to show. So if I show you how to do that, we're going to use our flat-bladed screwdriver. We're going to pull out the plunger part. When the plunger is removed, the entire mechanism will come out, and when that does, the whole cover comes off. Now, if we look inside, we can see here's that screw that's broken off the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our locking pliers on this, and we're going to give it a spin. With the back of that screw exposed, we put our locking pliers on the back. Now we can see why this happened. What Toyota did, this happens to be a Toyota, what they did was they actually have essentially a nut welded to the inside of the trunk, and that's where the metal on metal created the rust and locked this in position. Many applications have plastic. They have either a nylon screw, or they have the receiver, which is some sort of a plastic. But this is metal on metal, and the rust got to us. So what we're going to do now in order to get this out is I've already sprayed some penetrating oil from the outside and a little bit here on the inside, and I've given it a few minutes to seep in and do what it does. We're now going to take our locking pliers, which is locked on, and we're going to give it a twist like this. See how it's freed up already? There we go. It's nice and free. And I'm going to turn it as if I was tightening it from the outside, which will bring it into the trunk and free. And there we go. We can actually see that rust that's in there a little bit. So what we're going to do now is that we've got it free is we're going to put it all back together. What I recommend is twofold. One is we're going to take the old screw. We're going to put a little bit of penetrating oil on it again, and we're going to run it in and out here a few times in order to see if we can kind of bust up that rust. So we're going to do that first. I'm taking that old screw. I'm going to spray tiny bit of penetrating oil on there, and I'm going to just run it in. This is the good screw from the other side, so I know that the threads work. With the penetrating oil on, run it in and out a couple of times. And now if we look, we see the rust has actually been mitigated a little bit. Okay. Now, where we are is we needed to buy new screws. And I was able to figure out the threads, and I went to one of the big box stores and I just matched up threads. I matched up length and I matched up and of course the thread. This particular car happens to be what they call an M6 1.0 millimeter by 22. 22 is the length. It's a panhead Phillips, which will keep the license plate on in place nice. And what I did to avoid having to do this again is I actually got stainless, and that's why I'm replacing both, is because I'm going to put 2 stainless steel screws in and hopefully try to mitigate the rust issue the next time. What I'm also going to do is our brand new screw. I'm also going to put a little bit of silver anti-seize compound on those threads. So you see, we've put a little bit of silver anti-seize compound on the threads. And what we're going to do is, before we actually mount the plate, we're going to run that screw into the threads in order to get the anti-seize on both surfaces. And that should prevent any more rust issues with this car. So essentially, that's our fix. All we're going to do to put this back together is we're going to put our license plate in place. We're going to screw the screws down with anti-seize compound. We're going to put our cover back on with the 12 push pin screws, and the job is finished. Now, a side note, something that Jay and I do once a year on our cars is we take spray silicone and we lubricate all of the seals. We do it for the trunks, the hatchback, and all the doors of the car. Look at this. This is 10 years old, and look at how nice this rubber is, very pliable. You have to use silicone when you lubricate these seals. You don't ever want to use a petroleum product like a Vaseline or a motor oil or a grease. If you use a petroleum-based product on the rubber, it'll actually degrade the rubber. Silicone is best. We just sprayed it on the other surface, and we find that they don't stick. We find that the rubber lasts longer, and in the winter time, we don't get as much ice locking down the 2 surfaces, so it works out well. So that's just a top tip from me to you. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and
thank you so much for watching, guys. Leave us a like, maybe leave us a subscribe. Have a great one.